Now to copper mining company Revolver Resources, which will debut on the ASX later this month. Revolver Resources has 2 copper projects in Queensland, one which has historically produced very high-grade copper. The company has raised $12.7 million pre-IPO, which MD Pat Williams says will fund activities for 2 years. But first, I asked him why the company is named Revolver Resources.
Our parent company that my business partner and I created 7 years ago is called Ranger Resources. Our tactic all along was to name our subsidiaries as something associated with Ranger. The minerals business was coined Revolver. Our gas business was called North Star. We have some other entities, at a very, very early stage. Our logo is actually a modernised fashion bullet type shape. So, it does have the bullet, but it's supposed to be, the whole targeted, focused metaphor that goes with it.
So what is your target in this company?
Revolver came about because we saw the opportunity to address the requirement for the technology minerals. So we haven't just followed the copper thematic because it's popular or trendy. Our first asset, one of the 2 in the Revolver business, we came into that in 2015. So we were certainly believers in the copper thematic. We knew that there was a long-term deficit in the supply side. We have copper. We have an ore body. So we're starting well ahead of the rest.
Well, just how advanced are those 2 projects?
So our Osprey project is an advanced exploration project. We're looking for very large tier 1 targets, deep undercover in the Mount Isa precinct. So we've had multiple phases of work and we believe we're really on the cusp of something quite exciting. We've had several shows of copper. We've had a number of very good positive confirmations in our work programs so far. And we're wanting just to increment that and take it to the next level.
Is it true that that project is indeed one of the highest grade copper mines in the world?
No, that's the other project. That's Diane. And yes, it certainly has the hallmark trait of being this country's highest grade producing copper operation and one of the world's highest grade producers. That's absolutely correct.
So you're already producing from the Diane project?
No, the operation ceased. It operated for a period of time up until the early 1980s, and it was discontinued because copper was, 50 cents a pound back then. When commodity prices returned, the Mount Isa block was in full swing. So people were out in that Cloncurry-Mount Isa region growing and developing those operations that are now mature and in decline. It's certainly renowned as a minerals province, but very underexplored. It's tough country. There hasn't been the deployment of any really modern or systematic exploration in the entire region. So that sits in front of us. We don't really know the full extent of the size of the remaining ore body. We don't know, how it extends or repeats or continues. It hasn't been tested at depth. And then given the attributes of granted mining leases and very good stakeholder engagements across the board, we can then, apply our mind and further planning to how quickly or what it takes to get into operation.
And of course, that's the gamble of starting out, I guess.
We've had carriage of these assets for quite some time. Project Osprey since 2015. We consummated the deal with the Diane project in 2019, but we first started evaluating it in 2017. We know our assets. We were quite a successful continuing private enterprise, and nothing was stopping us continuing on down that path. But we've taken the opportunity to move into the public space, for a couple of reasons. We really believe we're at that stage where our assets are on the cusp of some very great value improvement opportunities, and that's there to be shared. Secondly, we are certainly in a busy phase of the commodity cycle. Copper and similar new technology commodities are quite hot. The demand for resources is stretched. Border restrictions and other overlays on top of that also make it really quite difficult. So the challenges are there.
You've managed to raise $12.7 million. Tell me how that was received.
We targeted the range of 10 to 15, and we very quickly fell into that sweet spot. The time taken was really just addressing the formalities around, building out the register and getting the I's dotted and T's crossed. So no, it was a very strong uptake, a small roadshow, and a lot of support both from existing shareholders and some new exciting cornerstones.
That money now, what will that allow Revolver Resources to do?
We've got a drill coming down the road at the Diane project right now, so we'll be straight onto the ground by the end of October, intending to work all the way up to rain prevents us from working. So the money is deployed for both projects in parallel. We've got enough of a war chest now to compress the work program we were otherwise going to do and have enough of a runway for a good 2-year look ahead so that we can make commitments to lock in the resources we need.
Well, I wish you all the best with the IPO. Thank you very much for joining me. Revolver Resources MD Pat Williams, who's speaking from Brisbane. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. Good day.